Lust isn't just a temptation, it's a thief. It steals your future, your purpose, and everything you were meant to become. Have you ever wondered why so many young people seem to struggle with direction, caught in a never-ending cycle of distraction? It's because lust, unchecked, robs them of their destiny. When lust takes hold, it clouds vision and distorts priorities. What could have been a fulfilling career, a loving relationship, or a life on fire with purpose gets buried under the weight of fleeting desire. Lust promises fulfillment, but it only delivers emptiness, pulling young hearts away from what truly matters. And yet the solution is not far from reach. What if you could break free from this grip? What if purity and self-control could unlock doors that you never thought possible? In the next few minutes, I'll show you how to reclaim what's been stolen from you and set your life back on course. It's not just about resisting temptation, it's about choosing a path that leads to real lasting success. Stick around and I'll show you the steps to reclaim your destiny and live a life of true freedom. Lust can destroy your future, but it doesn't have to. Discover 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust before it destroys you. Unlock freedom today. Check the link in the description to start your journey. Lust is a silent thief, and it has one goal: to steal your focus. When you give in to it, your purpose becomes a distant dream, buried beneath layers of fleeting desire. It's not just about sexual attraction. It's a force that pulls your attention away from what truly matters. Every time you indulge, it chips away at the future you were meant to build. Imagine having a clear path ahead, but constantly being distracted, walking off track with every temptation. That's what lust does. It leads you in circles, away from your destiny. The most dangerous part of lust is how it manipulates your priorities. What once felt important, your goals, your faith, your relationships, slowly gets overshadowed by an overwhelming urge to satisfy momentary craving. This isn't just about indulging in a physical act. It's about how your mind and energy become consumed by thoughts and fantasies, leaving little room for the ambitions you once held dear. Over time, these distractions grow, and before you know it, your dreams feel out of reach. But the effect isn't just mental, it's spiritual too. When you focus on lust, you disconnect from your higher calling. The vision God has for your life becomes blurry, and your connection to Him weakens. It's like trying to drive a car with a fogged-up windshield. You can't see where you're going, and every turn feels uncertain. The longer you allow lust to hold your attention, the further you drift from your true purpose. You were created for something greater than these distractions, but you can't access that greatness while being held captive by temptation. The good news: you don't have to stay lost in this cycle. You can break free. It starts with recognizing how much power lust has over you and choosing to reclaim control. The first step is acknowledging that this distraction isn't just a bad habit. It's an obstacle standing between you and everything God has planned for your life. And when you decide to push past it, you'll find that your path becomes clearer, your purpose sharper, and your dreams within reach. If you're ready to take the next step and destroy the hold of lust over your life, I've created something that will guide you. Check out the link in the description for 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust before it destroys you. These secrets can help you break free and reclaim your destiny. Lust is a spiritual cancer that eats away at the soul, slowly distorting the heart and mind until what was once pure becomes tainted. It's not just about physical desire. It's a deep spiritual violation that separates us from God. Every time you give in to lust, it's like choosing to walk away from God's presence, one small step at a time. It starts as a fleeting thought, a quick temptation, but the longer you entertain it, the deeper the wound becomes. The consequences go far beyond the moment of satisfaction. The Bible makes it clear: sin separates us from God. Isaiah 59:2. Lust is no exception. When we indulge in lust, we step away from the closeness we're meant to have with God. The more we give in, the more we harden our heart. The guilt piles up, and eventually we can feel spiritually numb, unable to hear God's voice clearly anymore. Lust isn't just a personal struggle, it's a spiritual battle for your soul. The lies of lust tell you that there's no harm in it, that it's just a natural desire. But the truth is, when we let lust take root in our hearts, it creates a barrier between us and God. It blinds us to His will, and keeps us trapped in a cycle of shame and defeat. Proverbs 6:32 warns, "The one who commits adultery with a woman is lacking sense. He who would destroy himself does it." Lust doesn't just affect the moment, it destroys long-term spiritual health. It's a slow death, and many don't realize it until it's too late. In 1 Corinthians 6:18, we're told to flee from sexual immorality. But why is that such a strong command? because lust doesn't just defile the body, it defiles the spirit as well. It impacts your relationship with God and leaves you feeling distant, even though he never left you. When you choose purity, you are choosing life and closeness with your Creator. It's not just about avoiding a sinful act, it's about protecting the very life force God has placed inside of you. The spiritual consequences of lust are far-reaching, but the good news is that it doesn't have to end in defeat. The battle is hard, but God is greater. Through repentance and seeking his help, you can break free and restore your relationship with him. Lust doesn't have to define you. God's grace is more than enough to help you walk in freedom and purity. Choose that freedom and you'll find peace. Lust doesn't just affect you, it destroys the very relationships you value most. It creeps into your heart, clouds your judgment, and shifts your focus from real, meaningful connections to shallow desires. Have you ever wondered how someone who genuinely loves another can be consumed by something so destructive? The answer lies in lust's ability to distort perception. It starts small, a fleeting thought, a glance, a harmless moment of desire. But over time, lust erodes trust and creates an insidious divide between partners. When one person becomes trapped in their own desires, it's no longer about connection, intimacy, or love. Instead, it's about selfishness, about using another person to satisfy urges, rather than cherishing them for who they truly are. And in the end, this often leads to betrayal, dishonesty, and pain. The danger of lust is that it pulls you away from the very foundation of what relationships are meant to be: trust, respect, and sacrifice. Lust doesn't care about your partner's feelings or your shared goals. It doesn't honor commitment, nor does it respect the sanctity of love. It thrives in secrecy, manipulation, and ultimately in breaking hearts. Every time lust takes the lead, you lose the chance to build something beautiful. The truth is, you can't experience genuine intimacy if you're caught up in lust. True connection comes from vulnerability, from sharing your heart and soul with another person. But when lust takes center stage, vulnerability turns into exploitation. Lust is selfish. It's about what you want, not about honoring and loving someone else. That's where the real damage lies, in the loss of selflessness, in the decay of emotional closeness, and in the betrayal of the very person you promised to cherish. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to end this way. The choice to break free from lust starts with you. It's possible to rebuild trust, restore integrity, and reignite the kind of love that's grounded in respect and purity. It's not easy, but it's worth it. You can transform your relationships and live a life marked by real, meaningful connection. The first step is understanding that lust is not just a fleeting temptation. It's a force that can shatter everything you hold dear. And when you choose purity over lust, you choose a life of lasting love and true fulfillment. Lust isn't just a momentary lapse in judgment. It's a force that can bind you, holding you back from the person you're meant to be. It clouds your vision, distorts your choices, and slowly but surely diminishes your potential. We all have dreams, goals, and a destiny to fulfill, but lust has a way of shifting the focus, making fleeting pleasures feel more important than the future we're building. Think about the times you've been consumed by desires that don't align with your long-term goal. Every minute spent on indulgence is a minute stolen from your true potential. Lust demands your attention, but it gives nothing in return except the illusion of satisfaction. It distracts you from the real work, whether that's advancing in your career, nurturing meaningful relationships, or focusing on your spiritual growth. Instead of investing time in honing your skills or pursuing your passions, you find yourself trapped in an endless cycle of gratification. But that cycle doesn't lead to growth. It only leads to stagnation. It's not just about the obvious consequences, ruined relationships, or lost opportunities. Lust seeps into your daily decisions, subtly eroding your sense of purpose. When you're constantly seeking pleasure outside of God's plan, you risk losing sight of the path you're supposed to walk. That lack of clarity makes it harder to grow, because your focus is fractured, constantly shifting between desires that won't serve you in the long run. This leaves you chasing empty promises while the real treasures of life, peace, fulfillment, and purpose remain out of reach. True growth happens when you're intentional with your time, energy, and focus. When you prioritize what's lasting over what's temporary, you build a foundation for success. Lust is a thief that robs you of that focus, making it harder to show up as the person you're meant to become. The more you give in to its pull, the more you delay the growth that could lead to the life you've always dreamed of. But here's the good news. Overcoming lust isn't about fighting a battle you can't win. It's about redirecting your energy toward what truly matters. When you make the choice to break free from lust's grip, you'll begin to see the opportunities you've been missing. Opportunities to grow in your career, your relationships, and most importantly, in your walk with God. You'll unlock a life filled with purpose, clarity, and the kind of success that doesn't fade away. If you're ready to break free from lust and reclaim your destiny, grab my ebook 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust now. The link to purchase is in the description and pinned comment. Don't wait, start your journey today. Purity isn't just about avoiding temptation. It's about choosing a higher path, one that aligns with your true purpose and calling. The world will tell you that indulging in lust is natural, even unavoidable. But the truth is, the more you give in to those desires, the further you drift from who you were meant to be. Imagine the weight that comes off when you make the decision to take control of your thoughts and actions. You don't have to live in a cycle of guilt and shame. The power to break free is already within you, but it requires something many overlook: self-control. Self-control is not about repressing your desires, but redirecting them towards something greater, something that leads to life, not destruction. The Bible is clear on this matter. The Apostle Paul urged us to flee from sexual immorality, not because it's some arbitrary rule, but because it's a gateway to destruction. When we allow our impulses to rule us, we're not just compromising our integrity, we're robbing ourselves of peace, clarity, and the fullness of life God intends for us. Lust promises a fleeting thrill but leaves behind a trail of brokenness. The true joy comes from making choices that honor God and us. But let's be honest, it's not easy. The world has normalized impurity, and it can feel like an uphill battle to stand firm. But God never calls us to do something He hasn't equipped us for. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. Every time you resist the pull of lust, you are not just saying no to temptation, you're saying yes to the life you were meant to lead. And here's the beautiful part. Every victory, no matter how small, brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. With every act of self-control, you build resilience, you grow stronger, and you reclaim the power to make decisions that serve your higher purpose. It's a process, and it takes time, but every step forward is a victory. Purity isn't a burden, it's a gift that leads to freedom, clarity, and the ability to live out your true calling without the weight of regret holding you back. So the question isn't whether you can live a life of purity, but whether you are ready to embrace it. The call to purity and self-control is the key to unlocking the destiny you were always meant to fulfill. And it starts with the choice to step away from the distractions and into the life that God has planned for you. Lust can feel like an insurmountable force, something that controls your thoughts, your actions, and your very soul. But here's the truth. You're not alone in this struggle, and there's a power available to you that can break every chain. It's not about your strength, it's about God's grace, a force far more powerful than any temptation you could face. You might think, I've tried everything and I still fail. That's exactly where God's grace steps. His grace isn't about what you can do on your own. It's about what He's already done for you. The Bible tells us that God gives grace to the humble and the brokenhearted, those who admit they can't fight this battle alone. It's in those moments of surrender, where we let go of our pride and acknowledge our weakness, that God's grace becomes the most evident. It's not a distant concept. It's something real, active, and ready to transform your life. Imagine facing temptation and feeling an overwhelming peace instead of the usual pull. That's what grace does. It doesn't just help you resist. It strengthens you to stand firm, even when the pressure is intense. You don't have to fight lust on your own. God's grace empowers you to say no when everything in you screams yes. It's not about willpower. It's about relying on the divine strength that's already been made available to you. But here's the key. Grace is not a passive gift. You must actively embrace it. You can't just sit back and wait for it to magically fix everything. You need to reach out in faith, trusting that God's grace is more than enough to transform your desire. As you lean into His word, pray, and align your heart with His truth, you'll begin to experience freedom you never thought possible. It's in this place of reliance that God does His greatest work. And as you walk this journey, remember that God's grace isn't a one-time. It's a continual flow of strength, wisdom, and power, available every day, in every moment. So when you fall, don't give up. Rise again, lean into His grace, and watch as it transforms not just your battle with lust, but every part of your life. With God's grace, victory isn't just possible, it's guaranteed. The battle with lust is one that many young people face, but it doesn't have to define your life. Lust may feel like an uncontrollable force, but remember, you have access to a power far greater than any temptation. It's not about fighting this on your own. It's about turning to God's strength and grace to help you overcome. The Bible promises that if we resist, the enemy will flee, but we cannot do it in our own power. We need God's help. This is where true freedom begins, by fully embracing God's grace. His grace is the key that unlocks the door to victory, not just for today, but for your entire future. It's in those moments of surrender, when we choose God's way over the world's, that we find freedom. His grace isn't just for forgiveness, it's for transformation. Through his power, you can break free from the chains of lust, reclaim your destiny, and live a life of purpose and purity. Now, if you're serious about overcoming lust and taking the next step towards freedom, I want to invite you to dive deep. I've created a resource, 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You, that reveals powerful, life-changing truths straight from the Bible. These secrets are designed to help you not just resist lust, but to break free from it once and for all. It's time to stop letting lust dictate your future and start walking in the freedom God has called you to. The solution is right in front of you. If you're ready to transform your life and find lasting victory, the ebook is available right now. Check the link in the description below and begin your journey to freedom today. Don't let lust steal another day of your life. Take action now and start living the life God has destined for you.